That's not gonna be enough. Ah! Better, but still not enough. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. On the build show today, we're gonna do some fire testing, and I'm gonna show you a brand new to the marketplace, fire-resistant plywood that's never been seen before. Today's build show is sponsored by ARCLIN. Let's get going. The build show today, we're gonna jump into some backyard testing. I'm gonna channel my inner Mythbusters, and we're gonna test some common building materials and pit them up against this brand new product from ARCLIN called FIREPOINT. Now this product is a 1/2-inch CDX plywood that has a coating on the outside that they tell me will resist flames and keep the house from igniting almost twice as long as a lot of common materials that are used in building assemblies for this purpose. So with that being said, we're gonna burn a bunch of different materials. I wanted to start with some common building materials. Then I'm gonna jump into some fire-treated materials, including drywall that we think of as fire-resistant, kind of see how long they go in my test. And then once we establish those benchmarks, then we're gonna jump into actually burning this FIREPOINT product. With that being said, guys, if you're curious just about FIREPOINT, that's the only thing you're here for, fast forward in the video, you just see that. This is gonna be a really fun video. I love the backyard testing. Let's get going. Okay, so if you've been in the construction world for any period of time, you've seen party walls between townhouses or multifamily with multiple layers of drywall to get a 1 or 2 hour rating. You may have even seen some of this pink plywood on the job. This is fire treated. They make this in 1/2-inch and 3/4 inch. But this is brand new to the marketplace. What you're seeing here is plywood that has a coating on the front that's gonna resist flames. It's this product right here. This is just a small sample of it. ARCLIN is the company and FIREPOINT is the product. So what you're seeing is a really thin film of intumescent technology. What's gonna happen here when I put this on this flame test is you're gonna see how this intumescent technology is gonna protect the plywood substrate below from the flames. And actually this brand new product is actually quite a bit more durable when it comes to flame resistance than these two that we've used for a long time. So I thought I'd set up the test rig first and show you more kind of common building materials, and let's see how they do against the flames, and then we're gonna try this FIREPOINT and see how this does. Okay, so Johnny and my team made me a test rig. What you're seeing here is just a propane weed torch, nothing special, and we made a metal mock-up so that we could take these, I think these are roughly 8-inch by 8-inch samples of the different products, put them in the rig, put some flames on them and see what we think. Now this is just standard 1/2-inch drywall, not even Type X. We are gonna try some Type X in a minute, but I thought I'd kind of orient myself to see how long this lasts just using this. So let's get this thing set up. I'll see you in a second. 1/2-inch regular drywall in the test rig. Let's light this up. I got a time-lapse camera going and I got a timer going. I'm gonna test this about every 5 minutes or so and see what its integrity looks like too. So let's light it up. That paper face already is getting destroyed. Okay, 5 minutes in, I'm curious what the structural integrity looks like. Remember, this is not an ASTM test, this is Matt's backyard test. I made a little poker, let's see how it does. Oh, all right, actually maybe a little better than I thought. I didn't use too much force, but you can see that corner just busted right out. 5 minutes in. Let's give it another 5 minutes and see how it does. All right, 10 minutes in, I have a feeling this is gonna destroy it with just the smallest poke. Let's see what happens. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. It's super dried out after 10 minutes, and there's not any structural integrity left
but I think if there was any movement on the house, if the fire was happening outside of the wildfire, after 10 minutes, standard 1/2 inch, not gonna make it. I'm gonna let this go another 5 minutes just to see what happens, but this is, I would say the test is over at this point on this piece. All right, y'all, 15 minutes, I'm gonna call it. I think this one is officially toast. I got my good gloves on, don't worry about me. I'm curious to see what this looks like. Now remember, this is only regular 1/2 inch drywall. Look how dried and cracked that is. There is zero moisture left in this after that period of time. It looks like pumice stone at this point. But you know what? It didn't burn. It definitely, there's a fire benefit here. Let's reset the test with another building material. Next up, 7/16 OSB. This is not intended to be a fire-resistant material, but frankly, I'm just curious, compared to that 1/2 inch drywall, how long will roughly 1/2 inch OSB last? So let's give it a try. You ready? 2 minutes and 35 seconds in. This is interesting to see. Look at all the flame coming through and the smoke coming through as well. So we're halfway on our first poker time, and I would say this OSB is not looking good. This is not a material that's very resistant to fire for any length of time. The fire's moved to the back of the board as well. We're gonna test its integrity at 5 minutes though, so we got about 2 more minutes to wait. Okay, y'all, 5 minutes in, check it out. I don't even need to poke it. Look, this is about to fall off with the smallest touch here. Yeah, it's gone. I'm calling it. At 5 minutes, this OSB is dead. I might let this go another 2 or 3 minutes just for fun to see if it totally disappears. But at this point, OSB, maybe 5 minutes is all we got. I think I need to probably put this fire out though so my neighbors don't call the cops. Okay, y'all ready? Yep. Okay, this is gonna be interesting to see. Compared to the drywall piece, let's see how, oh yeah, it's like charcoal at this point, guys. Look at that. There is no structural integrity left here. This is not keeping your building from falling down. Okay, that's it. That one's dead. Let's reset the test. Okay, y'all, next up, this is just regular CDX plywood. Not the FIREPOINT that has the intumescent coating, but just regular 1/2 inch CDX. Let's see how it does. Three minutes in, it's interesting to see we've got some pretty good gatoring going on. It looks to me like the flames maybe taken 1/4 of the plywood out, maybe? Definitely nothing's come to the backside yet, although I got a little wind on today. It looks to me like the wind is flipping that flame around the backside a little bit more than I would have liked for the test. But the actual face of the plywood, for 3 minutes in, it's doing way better than OSB. This is obviously not a fire-resistant material. It's also interesting, like I thought maybe that flame would come down to that bottom right-hand quadrant, and it hasn't yet. Let's test the integrity at 5 minutes. All right, guys, 5 minutes in. Let's see what this does for integrity. Oh, yeah. I'd say that plywood's still doing okay on integrity at 5 minutes in. That's good. Let's keep going. We'll check it at 10 minutes. All right, guys, 10 minutes in. I would say the plywood is not protecting what's beyond that from fire anymore. We can see we got some holes in there, and I bet this integrity test is gonna do it. Yep. just a slight poke. Interestingly though, there's a fire-resistant version of this that's pink. Let's load that up next. I'm really curious to see how that does compared to the standard plywood. So let's reset. Okay, next up, FRT. This is a fire-resistant treated plywood. You're gonna tell it on the job site because it's pink. They use some type of water-based treatment to resist from fire. I'm really curious to see how this does compared to the standard plywood we had last. So next up, FRT 1/2-inch plywood. 1 minute into the test, this is interesting. It appears to resist ignition, but it definitely has some heavy gatoring going on in the front. So it's not like the flames are not touching the plywood, but it doesn't appear that it's spreading the flames. So let's keep going and see if that continues. Okay, y'all, 5 minutes in, we got some serious kind of charring happening. Let's see what our structure looks like. Seems fine. We just flaked off a little of the char, but definitely still structurally sound at 5 minutes. Let's keep going. All right, 7 minutes, 30 seconds in. We got the Grand Canyon forming down the center here that I'm worried about. And if you look on the backside, I got smoke coming through there, and it looks like the flames are just starting to lick it. Now it's a little unfair on the edges because the wind is kind of whipping that flame around. So I'm not gonna call that. But this piece right here that I'm looking at, we got some smoke coming out and there's some flames. So this is gonna be interesting to see if it makes it much past 10 minutes. It's definitely better than standard plywood, but I don't know about this. Okay, structure test. It's been 10 minutes. Let's see how we do. Oh, better than I thought, actually. It's still holding strong on structure. That's good. We're definitely seeing something come through. I'm curious to see how the next 5 minutes goes. 15 minutes, this has done the best of anything we've tested so far. We're starting to oh yeah, we're flaming into the house at this point. So I would say the test is probably a failure from the house is on fire standpoint. But let's see structurally how she does. Yeah, not much force. 15 minutes, still better than what we've seen in the past. About maybe 50% better than untreated plywood. Let's reset. Okay, y'all, up next, we've got some 5/8 Type X drywall. This is really, really common in construction all over the place. Let's reset the timers and all the GoPros, and let's turn the flame up to where it was for the others. This gypsum core should do a pretty good job of resisting that heat and flames from going through it. I am curious to see if it'll dry out though, and that it'll crumble on us. So let's see what happens. We're not used to this cold weather in Austin, Texas. It's 23 degrees out with a wind chill of 4. So I thought I'd make the best of my time out here in the flames. Woo, that bubbles it quick. What do you think, y'all? Should we do some more testing? Okay, at 5 minutes, we're gonna do a structural test. I just wanna generally see how the material's holding up, knowing that a house that was exposed to flames, of course, is still gonna have wind. It's still gonna wanna hold structurally. So let's just see how structurally sound. I'm gonna give it a short poke here. Seems like it's doing fine at 5 minutes in, that's good. Let's keep going, we'll test it again at 10. Okay, y'all, 10 minutes in, and to be honest, this is doing better than I expected it might. Let's give it a little poke and see how she does. Not bad at all. Let's do one more just to see. Yeah, not bad at all. Let's give it another 5 minutes. We'll keep her going. All right, y'all, 15 minutes. Let's give a little structural test to this drywall. Still holding tough. Okay, y'all, 20 minutes in. This is fascinating. Look at this. The back paper is basically igniting from the heat coming through now. And let's see structurally how we're doing. Oh, it actually did pretty well. Better than I expected. Oh, no, that poked through. You can see here, this piece is really poked through. So that's probably gonna promote more damage. Again, this is not an ASTM test. I'm just honestly trying to see how these materials hold up. So far, 20 minutes in, very interesting results. Let's get it 5 more minutes and see how she does. Okay, y'all, we're at 25 minutes. It looks really dry, but let's see structurally how she does. Oh, look at that. I got a little crack going. Yeah, I had a feeling. I think it might, had I never poked it, maybe it could have gone a little bit longer. I feel like the poke is somewhat of a real test though, because if we really did have fire on the house, there's gonna be wind, there's gonna be debris, there's other things that could damage that surface in some way, shape, or form. So we're gonna call this type X at about 25 minutes. Okay, y'all, I got the FIREPOINT sample loaded up, but before I burn it, I wanna give you a little kind of demonstration. The coating that's on the front of this 1/2-inch CDX plywood is intumescent technology. Apparently it's patented, but we remember these from our childhood. You remember this? It was called the Black Snake. This is a little firework that I remember from my childhood. Hopefully you remembered them. And it basically uses the same type of technology. If you don't remember these from your childhood, let me show you what they look like. They look like a little pill, almost like a little black pill, almost kind of the same color as the coating on the facer here. And let me light these up and show you what they do. All right, check that out. See how those things are growing in the fire and pushing out? That's the same technology that FIREPOINT has on the face. So with that in mind, in the back of your head, look, goodness gracious, look at that crazy expansion. Now let's light up the front of this FIREPOINT and see what happens. Before I put the big torch on it, I thought I'd actually put a small torch on it just to kind of show you in one little spot what's happening. So see this? Look how it's expanding and exploding out to resist those flames. I just wanted to kind of show you what's happening and what it looks like from a small scale. Now let's get the big fire going, shall we? Okay, y'all, let's see what happens on the FIREPOINT. All right, so we got the FIREPOINT going now, and you can see that intumescent coating on the front exploding out and protecting that substrate below. We got a timer going. Let's see how long this will resist my weed torch, my torture test. All right, y'all, we're 2.5 minutes in. What's interesting to me is look how the edges have grown. You know, they tell me that this panel doesn't need to touch the other panel in order to protect the fire from coming through. In fact, they say we can space the panels up to an 1/8 inch apart and still protect that. And these kind of fuzzy things growing on the side tell me that yes, indeed, I wouldn't need these panels to be physically touching. They could be a little bit apart, that 1/8 inch apart, and this is gonna protect it. There also could be a slight cut in the face as well, and that growth would help protect that substrate below. So at this point, looking real good. Let's poke it when we hit to the 5-minute mark. Okay, y'all, 5 minutes in, poker test, you ready? Yeah, nothing. Maybe a little of that flaked off. I wonder if that will change anything. But at this point, the plywood looks basically untouched. Now the wind, in all fairness, hasn't been great for any of these. And in fact, it looks like the wind is curling around to the back side of the sheet just a little bit. I may be having some ignition on the top of the sheet. Either way, let's keep the test going and see how she looks. All right, guys, 10 minutes in, you can see the flame is kind of flipping over the top here, and we're catching that top edge on fire. But let's see structurally how we're doing. Nice and solid, I like seeing that. Okay, let's keep going, 10 minutes in. All right, y'all, 15 minutes in. Again, we have just a little bit of flame on the top side here, but let's see structurally how we're doing. Multiple pokes, no problems. That's good. 15 minutes in. All right, guys, 20 minutes in, and I gotta tell you, I am real impressed with this product. Let's do the poker test. You ready? Still looks nice and solid. I really like that. It's looking real good. We are getting some flames licking over the edge though, which makes me think, you know, if I'm building or rebuilding a house and I'm gonna use this as the sheathing, I wanna protect the edges, right? So what I might actually consider doing, and this is me talking, not the manufacturer, I might set my bottom plate a 1/2 inch in on the foundation or the slab. That way this FIREPOINT could basically drop down right onto the concrete. Now we don't want wicking on that though, right? So we need to have some distance there. We might drop it onto a bead of a fire-resistant caulk, like a fire caulking, and drop that down. That way those flames cannot get into the bottom. And we don't want those sheets to be perfectly butted tight. But again, because that intumescent coating is expanding, we want to get those sheets about an 1/8 inch or maybe slightly less. So we've got a little room for expansion and contraction. We also want to think about penetrations on our walls. So if we've got utilities, electric wires, that sort of thing, and we're trying to do this in a 1-hour rated assembly, we want to use fire caulk. We want to take all those details and really get those right. Let's keep going on the test. This is really, really interesting product. A couple things about this company, about this product in particular. So ARCLIN is not a new company. They've been around for a long, long time. They're a little like the Intel Inside. They make a lot of things that go into the products we use. So as builders, believe it or not, you have a lot of ARCLIN products in your house already. You probably don't realize it. A lot of the plywoods, a lot of the glues that are used in construction, they make. A lot of the products that go into drywall manufacturing as binders and all kinds of different things. ARCLIN makes those. FIREPOINT, though, this particular product is really one of the first times they've gone direct to the marketplace. So actually, here is the email address and the phone number for these guys. They'll actually sell direct to you. They're working on a distribution network. This is a brand new product. This took a long time to develop, though. I've been talking to the R&D guy, Tiong. He tells me that this took like 7 years to develop because they didn't want to just meet code. You know, a lot of products just make code. You kind of just barely make it. But this one actually exceeds code. 53% more resistance to fire than what code requires in a 1-hour assembly. So in fact, you can go up to 90 minutes on a standard 60-minute assembly. Let's talk about where you might use this in your project. There's some interesting things there. You know, I've built a lot of different styles of construction, type 3, type 5 construction. Anywhere where you might have used standard 5/8 type X in the past, you're gonna be able to swap this out with this product. So now we've got typically 1 step instead of 2 steps. You know, a lot of times when you're making a 1-hour rated assembly for, let's say, an exterior wall, let's say you're rebuilding in LA, you're gonna put OSB or plywood in for shear, and then you're gonna have to cover that with 5/8. That's 2 different subcontractors typically. We gotta cover that exterior gypsum quickly because it's very, soft. It's a problem on the job site if it gets wet. So this is like regular 1/2 inch plywood that really this only weighs like 4 or 5 pounds more per sheet. So a sheet of this weighs under 50 pounds. Pretty lightweight, cuts with a normal saw, really standard to use in the job site. The carpenters aren't gonna have any problems with it. You're gonna cut it with your standard saw. There's no precautions when cutting this, like if you were using a cement-based type product, that sort of thing. And we're not even done with the testing, but so far, I'm very, very impressed. All right, y'all, 25 minutes and she is still holding strong. I'm impressed. Let's give it a little structural test. You ready? A little poker? 3 pokes. I'm trying to keep the same poke pressure on all of the samples. Where I've been poking, it looks like that intumescent coating has maybe been a little bit removed there as I've been forcing it. But if you look at the backside of this, 0 damage, just a little bit of damage on the edges, but structurally she's still sound. So if this was being used for a sheathing, even though we're in a fire, the house would still be structurally sound, it looks like to me. A couple things I want to mention. This 1/2-inch CDX plywood that has that intumescent coating, that coating doesn't change the perm rating. It allows moisture to pass through it. So we need to put a house wrap or a peel-and stick or a fluid applied on the top side of this, right? This is gonna act like your normal shear on the house. One of the things I really like about it though is I can have my framer install this. I don't need to get a separate sub out. Also, it's fine being exposed up to 6 months. It's not gonna fall apart like if I was using gypsum on the job and it was getting wet. And also those pink fire retardant plywoods, when they get wet, it leaches out the pink chemical, which is keeping that fire retardant to the plywood. So as that pink is gone, it's gonna be less and less fire resistant. This doesn't have that issue. You could use this product in party walls. You can use this in exterior 1-hour rated assemblies. Now, instead of putting, let's say, OSB or plywood on for shear, then 5/8, then a house wrap, your framer can just apply this like normal shear wall on the outside and put your house wrap on. And now I've got a 1-hour rated assembly, assuming I've got 5/8 on the inside. And I'm gonna use a more fire resistant insulation, like a mineral wool, a rock wool, one of those on the inside as well. So I really like how this eliminates some steps in that process for getting that 1-hour rated wall. Okay, y'all, 30 minutes. This is the longest lasting in our test to date. Structurally still looks really good. 3 pokes, no problems. FIREPOINT still going strong. 5/8 type X. This is not a fragile material on the job site. When I'm handling that, it's not super heavy. It's only 4 or 5 pounds heavier than standard plywood, and it's really easy to use on the job site. The frame carpenters that are used to using regular CDX won't know any difference that they're using FIREPOINT other than that it's got a black coating with this logo on the face. That's about it. All right, as we're coming up on 35 minutes, it's still looking really good. And something I'm not sure I've mentioned yet, this intumescent coating when it blows up, so it's protecting the face of the plywood from ignition, and this is a Class A flame spread product. Let's do the poke test now at 35 minutes and see structurally how we're doing. 3 more pokes, still doing fine. These FIREPOINT fire-resistant panels feature a Class A Flamestead rating, and FIREPOINT wall assemblies have been rigorously tested to ASTM E119 standards, earning ICC certifications ESR 5156. FIREPOINT offers load-bearing 1 and 2 hour rated wall assemblies, ideal for Type 3 and Type 5 construction, 0 lot line, and partition wall applications. FIREPOINT is not just about fire resistance, it's about safeguarding families, enhancing lives, and providing you, both architects and builders, peace of mind. Demonstrated to withstand fire for up to 90 minutes on a 60-minute wall assembly, FIREPOINT wall assemblies offer up to 53% more fire resistance than code. At this point, FIREPOINT can be purchased directly from ARCLIN. Please reach out to a FIREPOINT specialist. You can email them at firepoint.sales@arclin.com, or you can call them at area code 404-334-6833. Holy cow, y'all, 40 minutes of flame. ChatGPT tells me this weed torch can get up to 3,800 degrees. That is a lot of heat. Let's see how she's doing structurally. Dang, 3 more pokes. Still looking good. Let's give it another 5 minutes. 45 minutes, appears to be still going strong. Poker test time. Yeah, really cool. Holy cow. Still structurally sound. No flame whatsoever appears to be touching the backside. Let's keep going. Okay, y'all. 50 minutes of flames on the FIREPOINT. Let's do the poker test. Still looks good. Dang. And the backside, still untouched. Let's keep going. All right, y'all, 55 minutes. Check that out. And she still looks really good. Let's see how structurally sound it is. Still going strong. I've kind of poked out quite a bit of that intumescent in the center, but none of it has fallen apart, and the backside still looks good. Holy cow. I guess I'll stop this at an hour, but they tell me this will go up to 90 minutes in a 60-minute rated wall assembly. So you're gonna get 53% better than code. Very impressive, and so far it's proven true. Let's poke it one more time at 1 hour. Okay, remember guys, this was not intended to replicate the ASTM test. This is just my backyard test. I wanted a rough order of magnitude and how different these materials were. And FIREPOINT definitely proved its worth. I'm very impressed. This is a really cool product. There are a couple other products in the marketplace that I wasn't able to easily source. There's LP Flame Block, which is like an OSB with some type of magnesium oxide candy shell, so to speak, on the front side. There's full magnesium oxide boards as well. And there's some cementitious products on the market. So there's other options out there in the kind of options list. Stay tuned for a future video on both rebuilding and building new. I'm working on some ideas of different assemblies and to give advice for folks who might be building new in an area that could be prone to wildfires, or maybe is rebuilding after that horrible fire that happened in the LA area. With that being said, guys, big thanks to ARCLIN for sponsoring today's video. I'll put a link in the description of these guys and for how you can get a hold of them and procure this material if you're interested in it for a job site coming up. If you're not currently a subscriber though, hit that subscribe button below. We've got new content here every Tuesday and every Friday. Follow me on Facebook or Instagram. Otherwise, we'll see you next time on The Build Show.